Show, Tom Show, Tom Show.
Dude, that song. I was like.
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Tom. It's the Tom Show. SRS Cards, Drake. Everyone knows him. We are continuing a conversation that I had on his show. Link is in the description of Twitch, YouTube, whatever you're watching on. You could click, listen to it on. There was a Spotify podcast. We can do it. My cousin did that beat. He has made beats. His name is Amplified. It's Get Amplified. He has done beats for. He's like DJ Battlecat is his mentor, and DJ Battlecat and my cousin have done stuff with Snoop Dogg and the DPG and stuff like that. So my cousin has like one of those little like you participated on a Grammy nominated record thing. So I mean, it's talented. Like we were talking, like someone I was talking on the show, might not have been you, might have been someone else, was like, oh, it was Cole, the giraffe. It's like my family's got a bunch of talented musicians in it, and he and his had a bunch of talented artists. Like, you know, it sucks when you're not one of those. So
Yeah.
Hey, let's I'm enough rambling. How are you, man?
Dude, I'm good. I'm nervous for this weekend. Like we've got a lot of snow and ice. I come from a small town. I traveling, it hasn't really been my thing, like air flight, stuff like that. I drive by car. So like the new, like flying by plane has made me kind of nervous. And like, it's been my first time kind of venturing out into the world, and the card industry is kind of providing that opportunity for me. Like I work for DCI. They're actually the ones that are sending me to Atlanta. They pay for my flight. They pay for my hotel. You know, they hook me up. I have great bosses. I work with Jason Dardick. You know him from Twitter.
Yep.
He's actually the one that hooked me up with the job. And that's kind of that's where I got my like professional, title and cards. I work for DCI. I'm sales in DCI. But realistically, I've got into this because of COVID. And it's like things are kind of opening up again, and it's nerve-wracking to do those things. But I'm excited. And I'm excited to be on the Tom Show because I thought our episode was awesome. We had a lot of good stuff to talk about.
We had so much fun, man. Like it's going to be great to just keep the conversation going. So what's in Atlanta this weekend then? I'm not familiar.
So it's called Culture Con, I think, or somebody famous hosts it. Like I don't pay attention to a lot of things about the show itself. Like I really focus up on DCI and like what my job is. So it's harder for me to like be the SRS card brand when I'm working for DCI too, but like it all kind of just comes together because I get to learn when I go to these shows. So the biggest thing I kind of focus on when I'm trying to go to something like this is one, what cards I'm trying to look for to buy. To benefit not only my business, but I could, grade raw cards and send them to DCI or send them to PSA, and it helps my brand. Yeah. And cards are something that I've really stuck and focused on since the beginning of the pandemic. I didn't collect beforehand. I was really big into fantasy football. My friends are all gambling addicts. You already know how it goes. Like, and I didn't participate. And I don't participate in that stuff because I think gambling is kind of a losing battle. And I kind of got into cards because I saw an opportunity where it was like, I can actually use my sports knowledge and my gift of gab to, maybe grow something or like make a community. And it all started out of just trying to find a community to be a part of during COVID and like being stuck at home, but then finding cards or finding NFTs a lot of people did. It was like a good feeling. So this weekend, just everything's kind of fruition. Stuff's kind of like opening up here. At least we're going to card shows. Things are coming back to normal. The market, in my opinion, is heating up a little bit. And I'm just excited.
When you say the market's heating up, anything like not super specific, but like anything specific you think's heating up? Or?
So like recently, I know we always talk about cycles and cards, and we always talk about when cards get hot or what's not. Like you always got to look at events and things that are coming up. So we know that the new drops are coming. They released a new list today of like all the cards, all the boxes that are going to be dropping and dates and stuff. And there's been a lot of unpredictability and like a lot of questions in the industry so far. Just with the card market, just how Topps and Panini being bought, like everything kind of just shaken out right now. It seems like a lot of questions are getting answered. Baseball season's in their lockout, but right now is a perfect opportunity to buy, those Bowman guys you think you're going to, score on later when it gets closer to the start of the season, and people are looking for them now. It's your responsibility as a card person and who's somebody who gets into it to try to, flip and make money on it. It's really important to buy within those pockets and make sure you have a plan going into it. It's not just like, hey, this card's really hot, buy it. people are going to start figuring out, like I figured out the hard way by losing money and putting into something and taking those lessons and those L's and those W's. But those L's are the ones that teach you how to really collect and how to do this thing the right way.
Yeah. They always say like one negative comment, you need 5 positive comments to go, counteract one negative comment. So it's probably that way, or even more so with like sales or moves, like I got to have 5 to 10 good sales, good moves, good whatever to offset that one Patrick Mahomes I sold, 3 years ago. So
you got to be, and it's like you got to be okay with that. You got if you're in the card industry and you're here to make money, like you have to go in with the intentions of like taking L's. Like that's a part of any business. That's a part of any, like, we don't want to call it a market. Everyone wants to say like arbitrage, investing, blah, blah, blah. Realistically, all we're doing here is, like it says in my bio, I'm investing in my own sports knowledge, whether that's gambling, whether that's, fantasy football, whether that's cards. I want to make sure that like I understand the sports industry within the sport and the game, but also the industry itself. That's where I take full advantage of it. And it's like, I look at the industry, what's popular culturally, what's impactful. And like, that's what's fun for me because I graduated from Ohio State, like with a degree in sports industry. So it shows you my level of love for sports and like why I'm doing this. And it's just something that like, even I think you share, like, it just means sports kind of mean a lot to you. And it's just like something that's always been there for you.
Yep. Easiest way to bond with your male relatives, when you're a young kid, was sports. My dad and I, it was sports and video games. My dad early in like late 70s, early 80s was big into video games. He kind of dropped out of that and he got into mobile gaming right before he died. But let's take a step back. You said the cards were just because of the pandemic that started. Well, tell me about your love. You growing up as a kid, how did you get that love for sports and then to go to college for the sports industry? And before you answer, my good buddy Che, Ian Sports Cards, he just popped in. He said, hey, everybody loves Che. He's doing a fundraiser for the American Heart Association. You guys should go check out his page. He's got an awesome print by Blake Jameson. It's a Jordan, Kobe Bryant. You get to pick. So whoever's your GOAT, you get to GOAT that way.
Tyson Beck.
It's Blake Jameson, but
I'm just kidding.
Tyson Beck, we got a Tyson Beck card last year. It was a Tyler Harrow for the
very cool. What do you know what his numbered out of?
It was one of the shorter ones. It wasn't, because he did those 4 tiers. It might have been like a 10 or something. I'm not sure off the top of my head because Che was handling that 15. It was one of the 15s. It was a super cool card, but
awesome.
So let's go back in time. By the way, this show aired on February 24th. The AHA stuff is not going to happen after this weekend, so you've got till probably Saturday, the 2 days from now, the 26th, 2022. So don't go back in time or from the future and come back and yell at past Tom because it's a disclaimer. All right, so tell me about you as a kid and how that love of sports developed.
So I just grew up, like, honestly, my dad was a sports head. He was a huge Browns fan. He grew up a Browns fan. The Browns left, and then the Browns came back like when I was real young, and it was like a big deal when the Browns came back. So they came back. Kelly Holcomb, my uncle Ronnie, and my dad got my uncle Ronnie got season tickets, and my dad, he was just like a big sports fan, and we went sometimes, or like he went sometimes, and he always told me about the Browns when they were good. You know what I mean? Like, I've never lived, still to this day, pretty much, when like the Browns are good, but like my dad and I connected on that, like the relationship with that, and the Buckeyes, like football here in Ohio, like I don't think, like, people in the South, there's some people in the South that get to Alabama, like Alabama's really like that, Florida's like that, Georgia's like that, but like Ohio like just bleeds football. And like we love the sport of football and the camaraderie and everything it brings to you. So like football was a connection between my dad and I, but I also wrestled. I wrestled as a kid. I wrestled open tournaments, tried to do the whole thing, like be really good. I try to be a really well-rounded 3-sport athlete: football, baseball, football, baseball, wrestling. And then like basketball just for fun at the Y. Basically sports was a way for me. It was like my art form, like me being able to hit a baseball out of the like stadium. Like my favorite thing to do is hit home runs, or like, get an interception or light somebody up. It was like, those were the things in sports that like you almost get a reward for from coaches and stuff like that. And it's like, I loved that part and that reward from those coaches, but at the same time, I loved the camaraderie of the game. And it also not only brought me and my closest, like my friends together who were like close to this day, but also like my family is also just like derived out of just like sports culture.
Right on. And then how did you decide to, I mean, Ohio State, that was probably an easy choice for you. Like, I want to go here.
Go Bobbies,
go
Bobbies.
But then like just to major in that, like, how did that come about?
I actually switched my major twice. I was actually a criminal justice major with it was like a pre-law. It was because like you couldn't really be a pre-law major. You had to choose a major and then also just go to law after. Yeah. And then you kind of just like, it was weird, but like, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like I didn't like criminology. I didn't like that stuff. I enjoyed the sociology classes. I enjoyed all the classes that like I learned in, but like I found out the profession just wasn't the avenue I was looking for. So then my sister, she does fashion retail and merchandising, and I knew I liked like clothes and like merch and like sales. I knew I did that. I worked at Vineyard Vines. I worked at like retail stores like that. I enjoyed that. I knew that was fun, but like, again, in college, the classes and shit, the industry I saw, I was like, not really my thing, but like, I still enjoyed those things. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, realistically, what do I see myself doing for the rest of my life? Sports. Like I can do something in sports, but like, I just knew that the money that it takes to be, you know, that producer for the Ohio State Buckeyes or the producer for the Browns or running the games and that's not what I got into sports for. I didn't get into sports for selling sports, right? I got in because I love the sports. It's not realistically like, it's the game itself, and like it's always been a good distraction for me and just my life in general. And I think sports is an avenue for a lot of people, a lot of kids, and a lot of like families out there. It keeps them close, but it just keeps you consistent, scheduled up, and like without even sports right now, like I have to be in a schedule almost like a sports schedule to even function. You know?
Yeah, no, I
really dead serious.
Yeah, it was the best. My favorite memories was just Sunday hanging out with my dad. We would always watch the Broncos game together for forever. So yeah, that's something, you know, my mom got into it, and you know, you're right. The whole family, you know, kind of gathered
for
up.
Sure. Like my mom and I still watch Browns games every Sunday together. And like she's yelling at the TV and I got to calm her down. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like everybody just like, she's like, damn it, Baker Mayfield, like throw it. Like, why do we even have Odell? And then Odell gets traded and wins the Super Bowl. And she's just sitting there bitching about Odell catching touchdowns in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, yep, this is my mom. Like, I'm so proud that this is my mother.
Yeah. My mom just likes to troll people on Twitter. So I'm very
that is funny. Shout out. Yeah, that's like, you wouldn't want it any other way.
No, she's like, tell your friends not to follow me because I'm just gonna troll the libs. And I'm like, Mom, okay. You know,
I wish my mom is like, my mom's too, like, she's just like, if she knew, I'm glad she doesn't know how to troll because she'd be too good at it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, she trolls me better than anybody. So like, thank God she doesn't have Twitter.
Yeah, my mom's bad at technology in some ways, but she's like surprisingly good at it in others. And you know, the phone stuff comes really easy to her, but like, you know, computer, like an actual desktop or something. Or like hooking up her DVD player, you know, she's like, no, I don't want to do that. But like on the phone, she's 4 different apps open and, you know, trolling, or shit posting or whatever.
Or on TikTok now, and you're like, Mom, get off TikTok. You're addicted to your phone.
So you just like, you're like, I'm good at fantasy. I love sports. And then you're like, well, cards, you know, kind of explain that process a little.
Like my buddy Cam, he's Chin Bags on Twitter. That's how people know him. But Chin Bags on Twitter and we're good friends from Bell Fountain, like Ohio, small town, about 13,000 people. You know, he grew up, he went to ODU. I went to Ohio State. Like we were in Columbus together, always been real close. And like, he was actually the person that collected cards that I knew collected cards. But at the time I said during COVID, you know, hey, I think there's this like, and like we wanted to do fantasy podcasts for a long time. And like I've been podcasting since 2015 with like buddies from college and just like doing stupid shit. You know what I mean? Just like posting shit, just like trying to get better at it and just getting more comfortable on a microphone. So he also did that stuff with me. And I'm like, hey, let's start like a podcast that talks about like fantasy and like how we can utilize fantasy football knowledge and like scouting and everything like that to kind of like go into the season and like invest in certain guys that we like or like. And like we didn't know about how the pricing worked and like when to buy and like that stuff you learn along the way. But like we were willing to jump in and we started breaking at first. And like when we broke, we didn't feel good about it because we were bad breakers. Like we got shitty boxes, like we got retail, like It just wasn't what we like it was and like people still bought it, and that's the thing. We stopped doing it because we didn't want to introduce like a toxic way of breaking into the card industry. So we decided to take a step back, not break, and like try to actually, instead of like take advantage of other people, bet on ourselves, because we found that like if we just have the cards that people want at those times, somebody will buy it. But the thing is, it's to have those cards and buy them at the right time and be smart and knowledgeable. That's where you save your ass, and you're not gambling as much, as long as you understand when cards come out, when drops happen, and you're just up to date. Like that's the most important thing, is staying on top of your shit.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about how you like hooked up with Jason and DCI?
No, yeah, totally. So like Jason and I we're just like on Twitter. We just kind of shit post like you do under people's shit. Like we just kind of meme, have fun, whatever.
Yeah.
And like honestly, it was, I think TJ Card Collector and I were buddies, and like it just so happened like they were friends too, and then we just interacted, and like we never DM'd or anything like that. But I saw that Jason actually put out a like, I don't know if it was a job application or something like that on Twitter, through his Twitter, and I was like, I never took DCI as serious until Jason like, you know, put his shit out there, because I trust Jason with everything he does. Like he's one of the best graders out there. Like he has one of the best eyes. He's done hundreds of thousands of cards. Like I had him on my podcast. We talked about, you know, things about the industry and just a lot about how he got involved with DCI. And like, it was just like the way he carried himself and conducted himself on Twitter. I was like, DCI kind of feels like it lets him do his thing, and he's just like out there just like trying to build his stuff. And I was like, if they allow me to do those things and allow me to be myself, I'll totally try to help them out and then, you know, build what they're talking about, if I believe in it. And if Jason believed in it, I like wanted to kind of believe in it too, because I trusted his opinion. So like I asked questions, I got interviewed, I went through a process, and like I got chosen as one of the people to work for them, as one of the first sales team to work at DCI, which is a review company. If you don't know, it's like, it started out as a review company. You send it through either my link, or you send it right to DCI, and you get $10 to grade a card. And what I look at it as is like card insurance. And that's kind of like, Jason is my guy anyway that I would send it to check on my cards.
Yep.
So it's like, I send them to him. He checks out my stuff. He tells me, like, I send them to PSA if they're 10s. And that's a process that I'm just trying to now function into my own business, is like, how do I send cards to DCI and make it worth the margins there and save myself some money by using DCI, and then sending to PSA or BGS, depending on like Jason's opinion. Because I can ask him, like, which one do you think is going to grade better at? And he knows, like, he's just done it. He's that good.
Yeah.
And like stuff like this is like this Don Mattingly, like Action Bronson card, this Project 70 card, like this card I'm taking to DCI this weekend, and I'm getting it graded just to see if it gets to 10. Like I kind of want it in a PSA 10 slab. I know it's in the Project 70 stuff, but like I would like to have one of the first ones in a PSA slab. So that's kind of what I think DCI and Jason and like the stuff that we do is like useful for in the hobby. And I see it growing to be a bigger and more important part to the hobby long term.
So what you're just going to go and try to, you know, you're going to do that. You're going to tell people what you guys do, you know, have your link and, you know, hype up the process. Yeah. Jason's an amazing guy. We actually talked because he used to live up here where I was and worked at like a barbecue place that's burned down now, but in Superior. But yeah, we were talking, you know, and then just all that. I'm not a grader myself, and we joked about this on the last show when I pulled out all my favorite cards. They were all like graded. Almost every single one of them was graded, but I don't do grading myself. I just buy you know, cheap slabs of stuff I like. But then where was I going with that? But yeah, that's the idea, and that is smart, especially when it's not worth it to take a risk. You know, when you could sub to PSA for $10, then you could submit anything. But you know, exactly, you pull that Wander Franco, you want to send it to him to, you know, see if it gets that 10, and not just the base, but you know what I mean. Well, maybe a base, but
even if the thing is like I've even kind of experimented and I picked up some Wander Franco base just because like I'm not going to waste the money on buying a bunch of Series 1 just because the print run's so like high.
Yeah.
I just wanted to buy some Wander Franco, send a base, or even like it, just like try to get it fast, right? And then take it to DCI this weekend, or send it to DCI. And if it comes back at 10, I send it. If not, I either sell it as a 9 and like allow people to know that, you know, this is probably a 9 at least a 9, maybe an 8, maybe a 10. Like it could like just that's just how grading goes.
Yeah.
And like we're seeing on eBay that like the margins for like something in a DCI thing are a little bit higher on graded 9s and grades 10s like than raw. So like that's what I'm kind of looking at. I'm looking at that raw comparison compared to that DCI comparison. And it seems to me that every time I put it in one or I see a sale or I keep updated with that, it seems like it's starting to consistently be more and more than raw. And I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of these smaller ones like GMA and like HGA. I think it's harder for those guys to capture that like that market that DCI is looking for. But I think DCI hits that market like on the nose.
No, yeah, that's really good because those other slabs, it just depends on if people like them or not. Like I love the CSG or CGS or whatever the hell it's called. I love those slabs, but no one else does, and no one wants to buy them. You could buy them cheap. Like my friend, not Nolan Ryan, Brian. We're like, hey, there's cheap slabs of these guys we like. We're gonna buy them. But HGA, they have their rabid fan people who think of that as a like equal to a PSA 10. But then the other half doesn't, like the other half is like that card is raw to me. So having someone that's like respected, but not, actual like, encapsulating grading thing, is kind of nice because you have that middle ground.
And there is a segment there for it too. And that's why I found it interesting. Like I'm willing to attach myself to that because I think it's a good thing for the hobby. Like I wouldn't be promoting something to people that I think is going to take money from them, is out to like, just make money off them. I really do think like DCI is a company out there that is going to people who, don't have the time to look at cards like we do, or don't have the time to like, have a functioning business that like sends cards to PSA and all that stuff. But like, if you want to participate to building the sports card market, which takes people submitting cards to PSA, and like, you want to find a segment that you can enter into, I think like, if you don't have the time to do it, DCI is a way that saves you time, and you just got to pay, a less amount than PSA. But like, if you want to use PSA, use PSA. And what happens if DCI like starts having like some legitimacy one day just because people are tired of sending it to PSA? I just think like long term, a lot of these grading companies are probably here to stay based on market who likes them. Like you said, CSG, who likes them.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into like too much specifics, but everyone knows Ivan at Watch the Breaks. He sends cards to Ronnie. I'm not going to say who that is because it's but he sends cards to Ronnie. He does that same thing that you do with Jason, that DCI does. Has an expert who has a proven track record look over the cards and give a recommendation. Like, hey, this is a 10. Grade it. Hey, this is a 9. I don't know, but grade it anyways. Hey, this is a 9. Don't grade it because it's a low.
The corners.
That is, it's smart business. And I know a lot of people aren't into like the business, but even if you have your favorite cards, and you need to pick like, okay, I have 3 Jerry Jeudy rookies. Well, do I want one slabbed? Maybe. Well, which one of these 3 should I send to PSA, or,
exactly.
Yeah.
It just helps you make a decision. Like you're paying money. Yes, you're going to have to like pay for a service. That's kind of like what this card industry is. Like, it's just part of like what cards are. So like, if you want something to be looked over and you don't trust yourself with something, or like, it's like one of those tweener cards where it's like, this thing's like the only thing that I have a question on centering. Like that is like something where you can get it, or like there's one print line on the back. Like, what does Jason think? Like, I think those are the types of things you can send in. But like, you also, as you start doing those stuff and you start sending stuff to PSA on your own, like you're going to find out what you like to do, what you don't like to do, what works for you, what doesn't. And it's all about, like, I always say that it's all about those margins. Like, how can you get those margins working for you? And it's all personal. So like, don't put anything in a box. Just do what you like to do.
Yeah. So let's change it up from like the business side. What do you like to collect? What are your favorite cards? Do you have a PC of stuff underneath your bed?
So metaphorically, yes, I do have one under my bed, but I just started and taking the time to try to be more of a collector than just like trying to have a card shop or card business or all that stuff. So like I just started collecting, Browns quarterbacks. So I wanted to start with Johnny Manziel because I think still kind of money motivated. I think his signature and his cultural impact and everything like that long term is nice. He was a Brown. His cards are cheap right now. Like I don't know
Brandon
when they're going to be
Weeden.
worth anything. Brandon Weeden, Connor Shaw, Seneca Wallace. We have all those big time names that I got to make sure I
Deshaun
snag.
Kaiser or whatever his name
Deshaun
was.
Kaiser, hopefully
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson next year. I'm just kidding. I'm
Oh
kidding.
man,
But yeah,
like,
so I like Browns QBs, and then Tyson Beck is another one that like I basically co-collect with Cam. That's like our guy. And then some Project 70 cards I like, but UFC, I have some UFC cards right here that I'm going to grade. We found these where is it at?
I have some, but they're not worth
So
grading.
this
I bought two
is
bags,
Stipe.
but-
Yeah, this is a Stipe. They call it Octagon side. I think it's out of 199. Yeah, it's out of 199, and I'm gonna go grade these at DCI because like I don't think the margins are there to grade these at PSA yet, and especially like, but this is like Stipe. He's one of the greatest heavyweights to ever walk the face of the earth. I love the card. Cam bought this one specifically, but like again, it goes to show what SRS cards is, and it's just like buying cool stuff. Another one like we'll buy stuff that's just like cool looking, like Izzy, one of the best fighters in the world. Maybe one of the most exciting UFC fighters ever. Like we buy that stuff because, and it's just, I mean, it's a prison base, like, and that's the thing. And then we also have like, I think you all enjoy this one because I even brought it up in my podcast yesterday. This Barry Bonds Gallery of Heroes. This thing's a pop, I think pop 4 or something, or it's a pop 9, and there's only 4 higher. It's PSA 9. It's a jumbo too, one of those like jumbo ones. And like there's a Mike Trout one also that's like that Cam has. Like Cam is the guy that is always like looking into the good shit that's like collectible stuff, and like he always bounces ideas off me, but he's always the one that pulls the trigger. Like he's always the person that's like, okay, yeah, I do like that, and he'll buy them. And like that right there, that's another one of his PC cards. Because like I said, I like showing off both of our cards. I think SRS cards wouldn't be what it is without Cam, so I always want to make sure I mention him.
I do follow him. He's a good guy too. I haven't interacted with him a lot lately because my algorithm is mostly it's like half NFT and then like half like the same 15 people and the card. You know,
it's like and I hate it right now.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's like I just start liking random people's shit, so it just messes my stuff. You know.
Yeah, but you know, I made a post about this a while back. Like, you know, every so often, like, hey, if you're missing someone on Twitter, just stop what you're doing, go back, you know, look them up and go like, retweet like 20 or 30 of their things and bring them back in. You just might have to manually do it, but your friends, that's what's going to happen. You know, like Twitter, you're going to start liking stuff because you're expanding, you know, as you're growing with your Twitter. You know, you're not like, I'm going to get to 100 follows and that's it. I'm only going to follow 100 people. And
exactly.
You're going to keep following new things and new interesting people. And then those old people, you know, are going to go because, you know, you're fingering out and then they're here and you're out here now. So,
I have a thing like that too. So I just want to touch on like your follower count. No one gives a shit how many people like you follow compared to the followers you have. Follow people who you like. And if people support you, follow them. There's no reason you're not too cool to like follow somebody else. And like your follower count having like, I worried about having, you know, half my like follower, blah, blah. Like this shit doesn't matter, dude. That's not what the card industry is about. It's about having fun, supporting each other, you know, having each other's back through everything like we did through COVID, because like stuff's starting to heat back up and like people are going to leave the industry. People are going to have other shit to do. But like the people that are going to stay here, like you support and you get out of the hobby, whatever you put into it. And I put a lot into this hobby in the last couple of years, and I've gotten, I think, so much more in return that like I want to be here long term, whether it's just a hobby, whether it's a full-time gig, because like I love my normal job just as much as I love cards.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm a maintenance man. You know what I mean? I basically do maintenance for like a apartment complex on a high stakes campus. I've done it since even I was in college, and like I love it. I just love the job, and it's like cards is a good side gig or a good thing to come to where it's like, oh, this is a lot of fun because like we're just kind of fucking around with the homies, you know.
I have rules for who I follow back. I'll follow people. If someone is posting something interesting, I will follow you. I don't care how many followers or when your account is. But if you follow Tom, I'm going to take a look. I'm going to go to your tab and I'm going to look at like, you know, scroll through your tweets. And if you're like, if it's all just giveaways, you know, or retweeting something else, I don't need to see that. If it's just like sale, it really depends. I'm going to have to dig a little deeper to see like, okay, did you just run a stack sale or is that it? You know, because I'm not a buyer, so I don't really want an only
yeah, exactly.
selling.
Yeah.
And then, but like, if I just see a few tweets of you just tweeting something or being a human being, that's basically all I'm looking for. Follow, it's not like I'm a snob or anything.
For sure, dude.
But it's just like, that's what I want. I'm going to curate that. And then, because the worst thing that can happen is, oh, this person's really annoying, unfollow. And it's like, that's the end of it.
That's simple. And just move on. And the toxicity in the hobby, like for a while there, you saw, I think a lot of us were getting sick of each other's takes or just reading each other's shit. And it's like, for a while there, we kind of like were dramatic and like stuff was kind of coming to a head. And it's like, okay, let's take a step back for a second and see what's important in this shit. And it's like, if you're getting worked up about certain stuff, take a break, put your phone down, go for a walk, go, you know what I mean? Just do something productive, because like, again, we got to realize that like, this is why I want to be in part-time, because it can be addicting. It can be like a problem. It can be, you're too focused on that. You're not focused on daily life stuff. You put other things off, and it's like, you got to make sure you keep the things that are important in your life too, at the same time of doing this hobby and trying to make money. And like, but the thing is, like you always reiterate, and a lot of people like, this stuff has to be fun. And Cards Max says it all the time. Like, cards are fun. So like, as long as you have fun with it and it's an enjoyment, I think that's when you stick into it. I think if you're not having fun and you're not like, and it feels like a real job, like this really isn't for you, because it's like a dream for me.
Yeah. I like to look at it like, hey, Eric Cash and Cultura, he's just saying hi. I love that guy. My last show with him was just really fun. Got to really know him. Like, for some people, the hobby is the ship in a bottle assembly, like, and they're just frustrated and angry. And like it's supposed to be calming and relaxing when you build those ships in a bottle. If you're freaking out, you need to not do that. You need to build Legos. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, you
because
need to
it's
pivot.
overwhelming, dude.
Yeah.
It is. And like, I get it sometimes. Like, I have to put my phone down and put it on silent and just like not look at my phone, because it's like, okay, like I couldn't imagine being one of those guys like Ryan Cards LLC or like somebody that's always got people just on their ass. And it's like, I want to have that, but like, it's also like, I don't want all of that. Like, I don't really enjoy, just like you, I don't have the confidence to always like be in front of the camera. I like being the person behind the scenes, like doing the art or like, making the ship run. Like, I like being that person. I don't really enjoy being in front of the camera so much. That's why I do a lot of my stuff just audio. I haven't put anything on YouTube or anything like that, because I think I want people to hear what I'm saying, not watch what I'm doing, because like that's the most important thing. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing anyway, and like, trust me, like this is how I run my business. My podcast is more so like, this is what I'm going on, and like on SRS Cards, this is like, and then I interview other people. This is what they got going on. And like, if you guys want to buy from us, or if you guys want to hear us talk about the card industry, or if you just want to update on life or life advice, like, come hang out. And like, this is why I love your show so much and your setup. And like, you inspire me, Tom, and you have even since the feet pick stuff, dude. I always talk about the feet picks, but like, that's how I knew you were funny, dude. And I was like, I have to always be like, he is my friend. Like, I know him doing that shit like that. Like, I have to be friends with that person, because the eBay foot pick shit was just like, it's legendary for me. It's legendary.
Yeah, it's crazy how funny things like that are. And now I'm known as the feet guy, and I'm like, I don't care about feet. They're just there. You know what I mean? I'm not into
right?
feet.
Yeah,
It was just a funny thing. But now I have to run with it. Because there's those expectations. But it's fun. And I appreciate like, we do need to take a step back. I had to take a break because people I thought were my friends were just wanted to destroy me and wanted to come after me. And you're like, this is so weird and so toxic, and, so you do sometimes, if you can't buy cards to open, you just need to move on, look for your singles or take a break from the hobby. Like I want to open some AEW, I haven't seen any AEW.
Yes.
And,
yes.
and
are you a big fan? Are you
a big,
like,
yes,
fan?
I'm an old school crazy wrestling fan. Cash and I were talking.
90s,
Eric,
90s, early 2000s.
I watched a lot of the 80s stuff because I was a kid in the 80s. And my brothers, we used to rent like the WrestleMania VHSs. And then that stopped for, I'd say probably like 88 to like 97 or 8. And then I got into WWF and WCW. I was just like wrestling all the time. And
Monday
then
Night
ECW, Wars. I found ECW. My mom and I would stay up and watch ECW. it was just like all the wrestling I could handle at that time. And then like in the early 2000s, I dropped off. And then during the pandemic, I kept seeing like Chris Jericho because I really loved him in WCW, the WWF. He just kept posting about this new AEW. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then during the pandemic, because I, had some friends that were really into wrestling cards and wrestling, I was like, I'm going to get back into wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I've taken 17 years off. I'm going to watch wrestling. And so like I threw a SmackDown on and I was like, this is garbage. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
and,
watch
that's
Raw.
the thing.
This is garbage.
That's the thing too. It's like, I think AEW as well is because like, I really find MJF entertaining. I think CM Punk's entertaining. I think giving the audience like somebody to like actually be them, like you can smell the corporate like on WWE. Everything is so methodical all the time, and it's like, yes, it can be good, but why can't it be good all the time? And that's where I think AEW, you don't know when it's going to be the best, and that's why you tune in. And like you're saying, like, oh shit, did you see what MJF did tonight, or did you see what Did
you see what he did last night? That my god, that was amazing. Go on YouTube and watch it though. They've got his whole little promo, and man, it was just amazing. But I'm gonna be fair. I switched it to the AEW, and I was like, this sucks too, but less than the other ones.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
Because like I was watching with my wife, and my wife would be like, we would watch like WWE, and she'd be like, this is hysterically bad. Like beyond like goofy.
I don't understand how you were performing. You are so bad at actually acting.
Yeah.
Like Stone Cold Steve Austin was the best actor I've ever seen. Apparently, you know what I mean.
And then like we would watch AEW, and she'd be like, "This is ridiculous," but like fun ridiculous. And then that's when I knew like AEW's it. And it took me like 3 months of torture before I was like, all right, I'm in, and now I'm excited. Like I had to force it, but I love it now.
It was like drinking coffee. It was like drinking coffee for me. I can't drink coffee, but like if I drink it for 2 weeks straight, it goes down pretty easy, right?
I've never had a cup of coffee, by the way, just so you know. I can't stand the smell. I'm a super smeller, and the smell makes me want to vomit. So never in my whole life I'm just energy drinks. I'll chug. I'll butt chug for those.
Funny.
But
that's crazy. That's crazy. That's so funny though. Like what a stat. That's a great stat. I love that.
But yeah, like the AEW, I was just like, okay, now I like it. And it took some work, but it's now I have my old childhood wrestling. That's what I was looking for. Like I want to watch this like I watched Hulk Hogan when I was, 7. I want to watch this like I watched Mankind and The Rock and Stone Cold, when I was 20. And now I'm into that with AEW. It's not perfect. Like, don't get me wrong. There's like half a Dynamite sometimes I'm just like, if I really wanted to.
Skip it until the main event, right?
Yeah, or to who I like. But I still just put up with it. But I dig it now. But I want to do something with you. Because we got about like 15 minutes left, because then I got to jump off and get ready for my Twitter Spaces with my guys. I want you to kind of treat me like someone, and it's going to be very accurate, someone that doesn't know how to buy at the right time. And I don't want you to like spill your super trade secrets. I kind of want you to go over like the basics. Like you and I know, like when baseball heats up, the spring training, people get that, they start salivating, and that's when you can start making some moves. But let's go through the sports that you like to buy and kind of give people a general idea of like when you should look to sell or buy, and then when you should look to sell, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me is I stick to what I know. So I know UFC, I know football, I know baseball, and I know basketball. Baseball, I have buddies I talk to about talent. So I'm always scouting. I always want to, it's always, for me, it's not about the market at all at first. Before the season starts, before that, I look like 2-3 months before each season, whether that's the sports I understand, excluding UFC, because it's a bit different. That market's kind of weird. It's young. It's different. Yeah. So I go ahead and I look and I say, okay, who right now do I really like, who has, they've been in the league for 1 to 2 years. So then I look at film, I ask around, I ask buddies like, who's going to take a step up this year? Who do we think most improved player is going to be? Who's that rookie that's going, take that next step in the playoffs, or like have that surge going into the next season, or that hype that's coming in. Who is going to take that step? So then I make a list, and then I figure out, okay, I go look at their card prices at like Prism Base, or I go to, certain cards that I like that are good parallels, that are like team color parallels. I'll go check and I'll see what those prices are. And if they're underpriced in comparison to already made guys who like LeBron, Kobe, or like, even more recent people like Ja Morant or Zion, like just comping stuff out that way. That's just a basketball example. I do that with baseball. I do that with like all the stuff. So I'm more of a prospector, but I use all the prospecting money to go after guys that can solidify the big like parts of my PC, which I kind of like call it the snowball. So like you can sell a bunch of smaller cards and make smart investments and take those, $25 to $100 on those cards to flip. If you take those quick wins and you stay locked into the market, you can end up buying those $2,000 cards. Like that's what I'm really working on right now, is like working to that 2,000, like without basically taking all the profits and then paying that profit with a $2,000 card. And then like you take that card and you can expand that bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's all about like managing your money and always keep it rolling. And that's basically
always be closing.
Like
that's
exactly.
What they say.
Always. Everything's for sale.
Glenn Ross. That's the play, but the Adam Baldwin in the movie, Alec Baldwin, sorry, does the ABC, always be closing. And, and that's what people need to realize, and people bring this up like, oh, I sold my Mahomes Prism 2 years ago. I'm so stupid. And you're like, well, how much did you make on it? Well, I paid $50 for it and I sold it for $300. Well, that's $250. You 6 times your money.
Yeah, that's a win.
Yeah, they're $1,000 now.
Huge win.
Yeah, but that was
and if you look at it, so you look at it as like I don't know shit about the stock market. I don't like, I have a baseline, but like I stick to what I know. That I stick.
If you want to, just real quick, if you want to learn the stock market, Cash and Cultura, his YouTube, and he teaches that. So if you want to look up Eric,
I'll have to check it out. It out. Yeah, so like I have a very baseline knowledge like everybody else does. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, I know crypto, but like, no, you don't. I've never bought crypto. So how can I say I'm into crypto? So like, I just shut up about crypto. Like, yeah, I think it's going to win, but like, I never put my money where the mouth is. So I don't believe in it enough. So sports cards were kind of that first market where I ever kind of like believed in myself, because I felt like I had the knowledge to do so. And I think that's with any like market or any like thing you want to sell. It depends on how hard you want to work to try to sell it. And like, do you want to put the work in to understand the market? And like, I am always down to understand a sports market, but like, I will tell you right now, I'm not down with Bitcoin. I'm not down with all this stuff. I like cash, baby. Like that's how we run. Like I would rather just deal with that and have it in my pocket or have it in my bank account. And like, I'm okay with that,
Yeah. So, I was just going to say, like, you take those, if you're always selling at a profit, well, what if you took that $300 that you got from the Mahomes, you bought another card, and then that card is now worth, $4,000. Like people don't think like, what did you buy with that to keep going? Like you started here, but how much did that $50 Mahomes investment, you blew it at 300, but how much did it go across? I'm always down to learn. But the depth of it is sometimes the things that, like you said, how much work. I don't want to like look up, AAA batting statistics or AA batting statistics to find the next prospect. Like my friend Bella, Shark Bo, she's that's her. She's like, I love prospects and I want to, and it's like, good, you could be that scout. That's not for me, but I want to know a little bit of like how that is, like your thought process, Bella. So I can know a little bit. I'm just kind of that. Like I want to know all this stuff, but I don't have the energy to like dive in.
And that's the thing. It's like I had to make a decision at one point. I don't have a ton of like, I am trying to manage my money. I have college loans I got to pay off. I have a job that's like, I mean, it pays me fine, but like I could probably have an even better job. But like I'm trying to figure out this card thing, and it's like I really like what I do, and it's like I have to manage my money in a smart way to be able to do these types of things. So I think it's just about managing your money, managing your collection, but it's also showing me skills that like I'm going to need in the future. And it's important for me now at 26 just to like do this and see how business runs. Cause like maybe I want to own my own business one day, like doing what I'm doing now, or, any of those sort of things. It's like, I think this is also, if you take it like a learning process and you enjoy learning like I enjoy learning, or you enjoy looking at numbers, or like the little, like I know every Heisman winner until like 1968 or something, like in order. Like that's the shit that I used to like pay attention to, or took sports quizzes on Sporkle. Like you can go and be like, okay, name all the 1,000-yard receivers since 2000, and like me and my friends get like 87% right. Like you know what I mean? It's like, and we're just guessing, we're just putting names out there, and it's like that's kind of been my thing and my friend group's thing, and I think the sports culture in my friend group in my hometown, that's what really like has forced me to stay in this, because it's like there's too much knowledge with everybody for me to like not be a person out there using it, at least for us,
Yeah. And I just remembered something I wanted to mention earlier, but you mentioned DCI and Jason, how they kind of let him do their same thing, do his thing, and be himself. And they haven't like clamped him down. And that's important, and you respected that. And that's what brought you there. I wanted to, ease my way into like social managing, NFT projects and stuff, because I know a lot of those people don't have those skills. And I have a ton of like office skills because I've taken classes for my job that are like marketing and, social media management and all these things. And then but the people will send you like, hey, Tom, I saw this job, and it's like social media manager for family friendly fluffy bunny NFT. And you're like, not with Tom's dark sense of humor, like they got to kind of be PG-13 or R-rated, or at least accept the fact that I'm going to talk about how I wish I was dead, once a month.
Yeah, at some point you're going to hear some morbid shit, probably. Like, that's the same thing with me too. It's like our podcast, we're going to say cuss words. We're going to talk about like the shit we like to do, how we party, like, and like that's where it's like I don't really want to associate my brand with something too hard, because it's like I don't want to limit myself and what I can do and what I can say, because this is like an outlet for me. It's art for me. It's not about like I don't want to put ads on my show. I don't want to do certain things, but like DCI, I can do that because I'm working for them. Like, and you totally can. And it's like, if I have some buddies in the industry that like have they're going to put ads in, they're going to do that stuff. So it's like, I understand that like I can help out friends as long as I grow this thing the right way first. And like, that's what SRS Cards is always about. It's like helping friends out, like being a part of the community. And like, I want SRS Cards to stay that. But like, I can be a professional, I can be parallel to that and be part of DCI because I believe in it. I think that's also helping people. And it's also helping me learn the industry for myself. And it's motivated. Huge. It's motivated me. Yeah.
Yeah. Because those skills that you are learning, the deep diving, that's going to help you buy a house. That's going to help you buy a business. That's going to help you like evaluate if you got a different job. Like, my company wants to do one of two things, and you can deep dive those numbers, and you're going to know like, okay, this, but this, then this is how it goes together. This is my recommendation. So those people like, oh, cards, but it's like, no, I know how to research. I know how to invest. I know when to, use the money, when to hold off on the money. And it's more than that. And it's just a life skill that like, this is what's going on. And it's really amazing. And people don't see that, and it's people take things like, oh, that's an internet thing, or, oh, that's an internet friend. But the internet has been here for a long time. Billions and billions of dollars are made on the internet. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yes.
Real people are on the internet. So it's like people need to realize, like, the things that we're doing online, they have skills that people use in real life. So don't think it's like, oh, you just have some online thing, and it's like, no,
exactly. Yes. It's like it feels very personal to me.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like I like the separation too from real life. Like it's just I'm just trying to learn how to balance it all, and like because it's like weird. It's almost like you're living two lives at one time, but it's like you're not. You're just like it's a fun thing. You know what I mean? It's like it's hard coming into like because like. Dude, I'm not an adult yet. I don't consider myself an adult yet. So like right now is the first time in my life where I felt like I'm doing adult shit. Yeah. Like for real doing adult shit, And like I'm just excited. I'm nervous with a lot of stuff. And even coming on your show has just been like weird because it's like I haven't had control. You've been asking the questions and I've really enjoyed myself, and I feel like I can express myself on your show just as much as like my show. So like this show has been an awesome, like comfortable experience for me, and I've learned a lot, just like how you are as a host.
You can see why I was excited to come on your show when I said it's going to be nice to be on the flip side for once, because when you're the host, you are supposed to drive the conversation. You're supposed to lead, the guest to where you want to go.
Yeah.
but not like control. You know, it's like a Tokyo drift. You know, like we're
And, like,
drifting. And where we
I feel
going?
like your balance is good. I interrupt quite a bit, and just right there, I was even interrupting, and it's like I feel like I'm trying to get better at that, and I'm trying to make sure that like I'm not trying to steer a point for somebody else. I want them to take it. I want them to run with it, and it's like as a podcast, so sometimes you feel a little obsessive with the conversation. It's like no, just let it go. It's okay. It's gonna sound good. It's all right. You know what I mean? Just let the conversation flow, and I think your balance is very good.
I just try to be like, okay, we're gonna start with like how like you as a kid, you know what I mean, on my show. And then whatever you start talking about, ideas are going to form in my head while you're talking. It's like, how can I steer that way? Or just like, okay, now I'm going to change the subject and ask you directly. So
exactly.
Not that I'm a good, you know, I'm not saying I'm a professional or anything, but that's just how I do it. And when you do shows with other people, you learn, you know, I learned on your show.
You taught me a lot, man. You taught me so much.
You're teaching me, you're going to teach me how to like rip my audio here soon. Once you get back from all your busy stuff. And we got to go here, wrap it up short. But I just want to say, like, I think you're an amazingly smart and talented kid. You're not a kid, but I'm using your terminology.
I get you. Yeah, I get
you. You're not, you know, people look at like, you know, the young kids like yourself as like, oh, it's a retail flipper or a sneaker bro or, you know, whatever. But they need to get over that, you know, and accept that the hobby is here and it's been this way forever. And it's, you know, there's always been flippers. There's always been these people. There's always been investors and timing sellers. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need these people. You know, I need people like you to buy my cheap underpriced cards so I can buy my next little pack of cards, and then you can, you know, make your investment, grade it and all that. So like it all feeds together, like we're all harmonious. And I just wish that that the old heads kind of gave everyone equal respect. You know what I mean? Because
I think that's coming. I think it's coming.
I
think it's coming. And I feel it even from you guys. And I've always felt respect from you guys. I think a lot of that stuff is like what you put out there, like I say again, and just respect others and treat others like you want to be treated. And I think the hobby will respect you right back.
Yeah. And it's all it is like, you don't collect like I do, but there's nothing wrong with that. And we could still be best friends and we could still chat and you could still teach me, because I could learn something, or I could maybe pull a card that's like, okay, I did pull a Wander short print out of a hanger box. What do I do, Drake?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What do I do now? Right. It's like,
so I love you. I'm going to give you the last words. Then I'm going to play my music and then get on out of here and get set up for my spaces. I'm sorry. I want to talk to you more, whether it's on your show, my show. I'm going to try to get some more fresh people in here, but like in a month or two, if I'm hurting for a guest, I hope I can reach out to you and you could be
always.
Okay. So yeah, give me the last words. Just give about yourself or the state of the hobby or what you're doing or whatever.
All right. So I just want to say again, thank you guys. And again, thanks everybody who's either followed me. You can find me on SRS Cards on Twitter. I exclusively stay on Twitter because I'm trying to build something special just on Twitter. Like shout out my homie Ryan. He's really showed me a lot of just about how to do it kind of the right way. He's a seller. He does that stuff. And just like the inspiration that everybody on the timeline, the different stuff they do. It's like you said, learn from everybody, take notes from everything that everybody's doing. And like, honestly, biggest words of advice is just be a good person and be a good seller and be a good buyer. And the industry will take care of itself and it will be here for a long time, regardless if things are going well or going bad. Like there's always been industry here and there always will be. So, just like, again, I always say this, I say, I guess that's all I have for you guys for today. I'm going to let you guys go. Safe travels and buy cool cards.